Wait a sec. There we go. Now we're in the shot. I got a raspberry tea, uh, vegan mac and cheese, and some vegan wings. The staple of the show, obviously. Uh, Undefeated all around. So yeah, hi. I gotta set the IG up real quick. Give me a second. It's so easy to get like distracted when you start doing this because you're like, oh, what's that? It's like, no, don't do it. Pay attention. Get this done so you can start Painter's breakfast. There we go. Let's be confused with Painter's lunch, which was last week. Yeah. So before I get that started, let's get some sexy colors. There we go. Beautiful. Stunning. Got my old shirt on. Yeah. Should we start? We should start. Let me see. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out something sexy. Oh, look at this. Welcome to the Painter's Breakfast. I'm this guy, Giles Blake. How's it going? Let's get that there. Alright. Hi. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. Let's send out some invites and see who would like to show. Tina, Steen, well, see if you can do it, seems to work. Gina, great. Cool. Ta-da! Dun dun. How are you? I hope you're well. I woke up surprisingly very, like, kind of hungry and thirsty, but I waited until now to actually drink or eat anything. I haven't really had these in a while. They're so good. And they're both from eLife, which is a restaurant and company in Tacoma Park, Maryland. I picked them up at a local co-op that my wife works at. Producer Tom, how's it going? He's not interested in being on camera just yet. He will. I know him. He always is. There you go. Join me, if you will, my son. It's so good. Things to talk about. I've been looking at a lot of art history stuff. Which I've been finding completely fascinating. So, most of you watch Watchmen and stuff like that. So, you have kind of a rudimentary knowledge of Selma and the bombings that happened at Selma. But what you probably don't know was there were about 10 to 100 towns in the U.S. that were very similar to what happened with Selma. There were like these mostly black communities in like the 20s that weren't really allowed to be anywhere. Weren't really allowed to share any type of wealth with the segregated parts of America so they could accumulate and made their own wealth. But in the process of that, it was a full community. So there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's dentists, there's banks, there's all this stuff, but there's also art. There's lots of artists and stuff. And we lost that art, which is crazy. And I've been wondering what that art must have been like. And there's still people who were around during that time frame who are still alive. And they were children when it happened, but it gives you kind of the perspective of it really wasn't that long ago. Because they're still alive to this day. And I've just been very fascinated by that idea of like what all that must have been like. I mean, in a lot of ways you can kind of see when you look at like Atlanta, you go to Atlanta, Georgia, and you see all the artworks that's there. I'm like, Atlanta survived. So there's like this whole thing. And it's very interesting. A friend of mine, Nike, is actually having a show in North Carolina near Chapel Hill. It's fighting me. Really glorious artwork. She's like a body painter, but she does like really fine art, body painting. So, go check that out. If you know Anike. Anike. Search. I don't know. He walked off. He's not interested. I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of like Billie Holiday, Miles Davis, even Chet Baker. I like the melodic tones and somewhat craziness of a trumpet being played. It has such an interesting, inventive kind of existence to me. And then I've been feeling a lot of kind of wanting to paint a lot of Matronic things, which isn't really typical for me. I'm very much like an organic painter. I paint a lot of people and animals and plants and stuff like that, but I don't really do hard objects. But that has changed. I feel like I'm able to do pretty much anything these days. Which is always interesting to have like all options. Not just some options. Christmas tree. And it's just interesting to me. It's very interesting to have a world kind of expanded upon. I was thinking back a couple of hours ago about the Lion King, because I had forgotten about this, but I was in a children's play where I played Scar, the villain, naturally, in The Lion King. And I want to say it was like one of those things where like they played like an audio and we simply acted out as it went on. And it had like this face paint and this big mane with ears and like wrist gauntlets that were super furry. And it was just crazy and ridiculous. But I guess I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten all about that. When I was a little kid, I used to like to sing a lot. I had a much higher voice. I was a huge Michael Jackson fan, so I would sing just these like Heal the World and like Man in the Mirror. It was just interesting. I'm getting a phone call. I cannot answer it right now. Hi. Sorry about that. Is it going out? No, not that. No. Hello? This is the worst. My microphone keeps going out. I gotta start the show over. Well, that sucks. Alright, and that. My phone's being all weird. Give me a sec. Here's breakfast. Alright. Let's try this again. Well, that's depressing, you know? Technical difficulties. It happens, but... Oh, look at this. This is me, Jaws Blake. This is Painter's Breakfast. I had been recording, but then my microphone started blipping in and out, and my thing started going, so starting over. Hey, how's it going? Let me see. To catch up on things. I was a child play actor. Against my will. But, you know, it was fun. For what it was fun. And I used to sit in my room with my little record player, listen to Prince, listen to Michael Jackson, listen to the Peter Pan soundtrack from Disney. And I would just relax and like watercolors on little coloring books. It was fantastic. I can't even imagine what life was like before it. Well, I was a child, so there really wasn't a life before it, but it was interesting. But yeah, it was just I think that's when I kind of learned that I liked painting, because the music kind of helped me get there, like focus wise, and then I would just kind of just envelop myself in it. To hit that groove. It's pretty amazing, honestly. I think the first time I really kind of realized I could take like a sketchbook and disappear into the void wherever I was. It opened up like this just world of possibilities on like everything. I think the biggest issue I always had was I could only have so much paper at a time, so much pencils that were dull, and so on. So it limited me only on certain kind of aspects. But I remember being allowed to like play in like a master artist studio with fairly unlimited amounts of like painted paper and brushes and all these things. And it was just a gateway drug, if you will, to the art world. Just this impossible thing unlocked and was suddenly open to me. I think even today, as I go on with my life, I always make it a point to have like more than enough paint, more than enough paper, more than enough brushes, pencils, pens, inks, etc. Hey Kelly. And it's that whole aspect of like, as an artist, like you always want to have like all the supplies you could need constantly, even when you're not making. You want to just have like this moment of like, welcome to Painter's Breakfast, by the way. Hello. Yeah, I mean to this day, like my biggest worry I've always had, even now, even with an entire art studio, was, um, yeah, just like you want to be able to just be able to just make and not worry about like, am I gonna have enough supplies to do these things? And I've heard from quite a few artists that are, they'll call you pack rats or whatever because you have so much work. You have so many supplies, but like I can honestly say, I use all of them. It's kind of weird to then explain to people. It's like, yes, I have like 5 containers of ink, and I have like several hundred paints, and a couple hundred pieces like papers, canvases, something of that nature, all lined up in little spots. Readily available. It's an interesting flavor ball I got there. Isn't that great? But yeah. I don't know. I know where I'm going with this. I just think it's interesting. I always find it kind of interesting to see where it's going. Oh, Panderfrost's question for the Painter's Breakfast show. What did you have for breakfast? Tom, what are you doing? I just hear my cats. There's a rummaging going on. There's always rummaging. If I were to take a guess, I would say they've knocked over the trash can in my studio and are playing with tape. Ooh, donuts. Very fancy. I'm gonna find out what he's doing. Walk with me. This is great entertainment for my YouTube channel, by the way. Alright. We're back. So today, I gotta upload this. I gotta record the podcast because I've realized I don't really do well recording a podcast when I don't have like all this, when I don't have just like space to do it. Last week I just didn't feel like I had a lot of space. So there's not construction going on outside, there's not any of the extra external craziness that typically defines all of this. So I feel like this can be pulled off pretty well. I might have to go to PetSmart too. But we'll see. You say hi, Producer Tom? You want to say hi? Like, no. I'm not one. I know what to say hi. Yeah, I want to work on the zine. I've got my murder zine. Very busy day. Well, that's cool. Hopefully some painting in there too. I mean, preferably. I know for me, I've definitely got to try and work on the zine that I want to put out at the end of the year. I mean, I'd love to put it out in October, but I just don't feel like that's enough time. I'm working with a really cool artist to make the inside jacket and cover for the zine. They've done some really great work that I've watched for a little while for printing things. So I just really love like printmaking and stuff like that. So, but yeah, but the zine is going to be kind of a murder of crows type idea. So there'll be probably about 10 to 12 pieces in there, various sizes and such. And I feel pretty good about it. I've got like 4 so far of the 12 done. Hi, Tom. What's up? Producer Tom, everyone. What are you doing, buddy? He's busy. He's got plans. Probably most of the plants, but also birds. You've never made a zine? They're really fun, actually. Hey, Kat. Zines are actually... Now I get you thinking. That's what it's about. That's what this show's about. That's what it's about. Zines are just really fun, honestly. You just kind of... You can make them out of anything, you know? You can do collage, you can do paintings, you can do writings, you can do whatever. And it's just this little small or big thing. Fairly kind of homemade. There's typically not too much production in them. But you can, there's no rules. You can pretty much make them however you want. Someone once described them as like a punk rock magazine. Homemade punk rock magazine. And, yeah. I've made like 2 in my life. And I'm excited to make a 3rd. I think it'll be really, really, really fun. There's apparently like a zine fest that happens in Bethesda every year. which isn't very far from where I live in Maryland. So I might join up. Who knows? I think it is in the winter. Typically, I think it's like around like December or so. But I'll have to Google it. Tom is just sitting in the window, kind of looking out and then looking back at me like, you know, you should give that food to me, right? I'm not gonna do it. But there's from what I've gone to and seen, there's actually like a really cool community of artists really kind of making stuff with that. I wish there was like a better. I wish we worked better as a community as far as artists go in the area, but I know that's not as easy. Because we have the old artists who feel like art should only be made in a certain way and presented in a certain way and done in a certain way. And then we have kind of like the younger artists who produce on the daily. And they make reels and they make all types of stuff. But it's like constant. And like I make a lot of art all the time. But I'm not that active. Break all the rules. Well said, Kelly. Well said. Definitely break all the rules. Yeah, I don't think we need any antiquated stuff anymore. I figure at this point we just kind of have to just go for it. I was talking to Kat a couple weeks ago, or last week, probably last week. And we were even saying, like, you know, with all this social media stuff and everything and the way they try and get people to do stuff, like, the whole point is to just have fun and enjoy yourself and not really get caught up on everything else that goes on. So, yeah, I mean, let's go for it. If you feel like you can make every day and do stuff all the time, then, like, I'd love that, actually. I'd love to get together and we could connect and figure out, like, some art stuff to do. Kelly, I think that'd be really fun. Do a lot more kind of figure out some events and stuff like that. I think the problem that I've run across with Tacoma specifically was they have very kind of set dates and times that they want to do certain things, and that kind of doesn't always work for everyone. So I think what I want to do is probably link up and maybe throw some type of event with a couple of local artists where we do like tabletop shows together. And I think that would be really fun. Like I see some of my friends who do tabletop shows all the time, and it just looks like so much fun. Like you get to hang out with your friends, you get to make art, you get to make some money, which is always nice. But you also get to just showcase your work, you know? I think maybe I'm spoiled on the aspect of like selling art and doing murals and stuff like that, but I love being able to just show work sometimes. It's not even, I mean, selling it is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I like being able to make money off of what I do. But there's something to be said about just being able to like show people and be like, oh man, this is so cool. And to like actually get that like interaction with your community as far as the art that you make is just such a beautiful experience. I mean, the downside is you have to deal with people. You do have to deal with the people who don't realize they're not on the internet, and being an internet troll is a little messed up. But it's very few and far between. These are really good. So for those who didn't hear, these are from eLife. That was the vegan mac and the vegan drumsticks. The hot and spicy ones, naturally. And yeah, you know, I'm thinking I'm gonna do some of that stuff today. So the reason I'm doing crows for it, a murder if you will, is there's been a huge population boom in crows in the area. See you later, Kelly. Have a good one. Thanks for coming by. Artist support. Kat's got it. Now, for those who don't know, Kat has an amazing art channel that she does interviews with artists and all types of things. So, if you get a chance, check out Kat. Incredible lady. Yeah. I just wanna. It's so funny. Like every time I think of like the Harlem Renaissance and like Bohemia and all these types of things, like I just think of all these artists that like came together and like made a community. And survived and thrived on it. And that's what I want. I want that. I don't think my pursuance is meant to be wealth so much. I mean, don't get me wrong. If someone wants to pull a Basquiat and buy one of my pieces for $100,000, I'll take it. But I want to be able to take care of like myself and my family. Right, Tom? Right, Bella? Uninterested. But that's my big goal. Go forward and do things and find myself like at this kind of precipice of greatness. And with other people, other artists. The concept alone of being this massive success by myself seems very boring. And I realize, you know, the likelihood of such things happening are kind of whatever they are. But I think sometimes the goal, trying to reach the goal, is sometimes more powerful than actually getting to it. Oftentimes say we defend ourselves in bad situations not because we think we're going to win physically or verbally, but because we value ourselves. We find that we are these creatures that deserve respect and love and hopefulness. And so we'll always put our hands up. We'll always fight back. We'll always say, I want more. This is not what I'm not willing to settle on something that isn't important just yet. So you work towards your goals. And I feel like that's what art is. Like, it's a constant working towards, like, becoming better, being happy, taking care of yourself. I mean, I see no reason why someone who goes to school to become an astrophysicist has any more likelihood of being successful than someone who paints paintings to people who want them. They both give a thing to the world. I think art is oftentimes discounted, but the thing you forget about art is if it were not for art, you would not know about the things that have since passed. It is like a footnote
or a everlasting bookmark of a lot of the accomplishments and everything. Like they made the first Holga camera so that they could go to the moon to take photos. So they could show people what they saw. If it weren't for paintings and articles and written articles and printed and all these things and storytelling, etc., like you wouldn't know anything about 2 weeks ago, let alone 25,000 years ago. Like they're all illustrations of things that came about. There's just these little kind of bits and pieces that tell stories and make things. I think a lot of times, a lot of artists are storytellers. We don't think of ourselves as storytellers, but I think we definitely are. I think we definitely have. It's mad because there's birds outside. Yeah, they're just these things, but they're more important than I think we give them credit for. Is the main thing. So, you go off and be important. I shall do the same, and I will see you next week. Hang around. Ciao. Bye. Bye, Gladys. I'll see you later. Ciao.